Well, Dr. Kohli, in all seriousness, is this an embarrassing situation for Donald Trump? To me, it doesn't look a premeditated action. In fact, it seems as if though he did not think through the implications of these tariffs, initiated them, in his gust of jingoism, and then when things actually hit the fan, he realized that this is not going exactly how I had planned it. How embarrassing is this for the American president? And is this also, exposing in a way that the Americans really don't know what they're talking about? It's a consumer-based economy, Dr. Kohli.
Good evening, Vineet. Good evening to my fellow panelists and the NewsX viewers. I really don't think President Trump is embarrassed. I don't think embarrassment comes in his dictionary, because he's often seen, taking back words, taking back decisions. He's very unpredictable. You don't know what he does in the morning, and the same evening, he might switch. Well, I think he quite did not expect that probably China is going to retaliate in that way. When he used the term that somebody came to kiss my A, I'm not going to use that word on the channel. Obviously, so I think that thinking is not diplomatic by any means, because if America thinks that you're bossing around the world because of being the largest economy, I think President Trump is living in probably 100 years before. He's living in ancient age. The world today is a different place altogether. The world today does not depend on America. There was a time probably when everybody depended on America and was standing with folded hands in front of America. I think we've come a long way since there. President Trump probably, regretfully, I would say, he's stuck there, and he probably feels that if I use this as a weapon, and as Andy rightly said, everybody would probably come and beg before me. And he said, so many nations have come and begged before me. They are not begging. They are trying to convey to him the rationality. They are trying to convey to him the prudence. They are trying to convey to him that this is not the way you deal with international community. This is not the way the two countries deal with each other. Each country is sovereign, and they have a right to their trade. And I completely agree with Andrew. You step into any store in America, you will find a China in it. The ticker is on your screen. About $440 billion of import from China, from footwear to machinery to electronics to food items to plastic items to toys, you name it. And there is a China connection there, if not directly, indirectly. I personally feel that, hypothetically speaking, with 124% tariff coming on China, impractical, impossible. In other words, what you're trying to say is, we are going to stop the trade, because you cannot import things at 124%. So you're harming yourself more. How are you going to fill that vacuum? I would believe 124% tariff, Vineet, if on the day when President Trump has set up factories across the U.S., for every single thing which comes from China. Is that the case? The answer is a big no. The American economy cannot afford manufacturing at this time. I have had a detailed analysis along with my economic analysis wing, which says that an acre of land in the US, I've given this number to your channel earlier, it costs you $117,951 on an average. The pay wage is $7.25 to $17.50 per hour. You can imagine, can somebody go and manufacture? Well, the best way to have been doing is, the intentions may be good, but the best way to have been doing this should have been, you should have allowed a couple of years that we want investments in the country the way India does. Our Prime Minister travels across the world. He invites investments. He meets businessmen. He meets entrepreneurs. He meets investors. He says, come and invest in India. India provides you a very big middle class. India provides you one of the world's biggest markets. That's the way to do it. Not that you set out a midnight deadline on one fine date, which is barely a week away or a month away. And you say, okay, fine. Either bend down, you put a gun on somebody's head and say, okay, you bend down, or I'm going to stop all this or impose tariffs. I'm sorry to say America would be a bigger loser than China in this regard. Will be a very big loser, because either there's going to be shortage of commodities, and we are noticing that, I was speaking to a friend of mine who's in Texas, another friend of mine who's in Chicago, and he says some of the grocery stores around his place have run empty because people have started collecting the stuff, because a lot of the stuff was coming from China, and they know that when they go there after a week, it's going to be double the price or maybe even more. So
Right.
they started storing it, that till the time President Trump settles down, let us store some stuff in our house. And these items, when I asked them to name the items, they were practically everything that a grocery, a supermart, or something would carry. I think it cannot run this way. You are either going to run short of goods or you're going to fuel inflation in the country, because if you keep importing at these. So I have a feeling he was using this as a pressure tactic. He was trying to see that let me give a deadline, let me see how many countries come forward, let me see how many come and kiss my A, or whatever, whatever he wanted to say. I think he probably was testing it out. I knew that I was amongst the first person, Vineet, on your channel who said that he will have to bend down. I was the first person, and a lot of your panelists, they opposed and they said, no, he's not going to bend down. But having said that, I would say this is not the end of trade war, because America and China, the stock markets are rejoicing. I don't know why they are rejoicing, because America and China are two of the world's largest economies. They are at loggerheads right now in terms of trade. And America and China being in the thick of trade war, the stock markets do not have enough reason, if not all the reason, enough reason to rejoice. But since they were in an oversold territory, they are probably trying to make a comeback, a rebound, which is short covering and a big relief for the market, nevertheless. But then the trade war is far from over.
Right.
I really don't think President Trump is going to go back from here.
Okay.
In Hindi, you say, picture abhi baki hai mere dost.
All right. Well concluded, Dr. Kohli.